Hello everyone, I'm the Craftacular Creator and today I'm sharing a process video for an easel card with a difference, and it's heading straight back to school. We've got a fun classroom scene, paper aeroplanes flying everywhere, my students who may or may not be paying attention, and a smiling teacher who definitely has this, even if the classroom says otherwise. In this video, I'll be sharing a little bit of problem solving, building a classroom scene full of chaos and doing some stenciling that honestly deserves a gold star. So grab a cuppa, sharpen your metaphorical pencils and let's get started. Before I begin, please remember to get clicky for Vicky. Go on, consider it your homework for today. Let's start with a quick register. Shout here in the comments if you recognise any of these supplies. For this card I used Longthorn inks, black licorice, number 2 pencil, very on theme, peachy keen and pizza crust, and really rainbow pattern paper. And these Longthorn stamp sets, just plain awesome. Virtual friends. Plan on it fitness. Simply celebrate graduation. Simply celebrate hangouts. Simply celebrate critters. And I also used a Spellbinder stencil of the month Right On, which will make a very important appearance later. To begin, I trimmed my card base 1 inch in from either side. I used the Tonic Studios paper trimmer for this because the cutting blade has a guide etched into it that lines up perfectly with the centre scoreline. Honestly, this tool deserves a merit sticker. I reinforced the score lines with a bone folder and then glued down the 2 side panels. So far, so good. Very calm, very organised, very teacher before the students arrive energy. Then, and I'm not sure why I thought this would work, I stood the card up. It fell back down again. Of course it did. Cards do not stand up on hopes and dreams alone. So, cue a bit of problem solving, because crafting is basically GCSE maths with glue. I grabbed a scoreboard and scored the middle panel at 2 inches. This instantly turns the card into an easel card with a folded centre panel. Next, I measured and trimmed some pattern paper and scored it at the same measurement as the card base, and then attached it using liquid glue. I also added a piece of coordinating paper to the inside of the card because this will be revealed when the centre panel is propped up, and I love a card that rewards curiosity. At this point we officially have a functional card base, and that means it's time for my favourite part. I stamped out all my images using Memento Tuxedo Black ink on Nina Classic Crest cardstock. You'll see the Copic sketch marker caps pop on the screen while I colour. I won't talk through every colour combo here, but do let me know if you'd like a dedicated colouring video, or if you're firmly team pencils, team alcohol markers, or team whatever is the closest. Once everything is coloured and fussy cut, it's time to assemble the scene. And yes, there are lots of tiny pieces, just like a real classroom. I always start with the largest objects using a mix of liquid glue and foam pads. Because this is an easel card, some elements must be attached with foam pads. They're doing double duty as scene decor and as the mechanism that props the card open. Multitasking, very teacher approved. Now, the images needed grounding because currently they looked like they were floating, and even paper aeroplanes need a runway. So I measured and cut a piece of wood grain cardstock to create a desk. Tell me in the comments, did your classroom desk look like this, or were they slightly wobbly kind with initials carved into them? Of course, a desk needs supplies, so I stamped, coloured and fussy cut a few more images and added them to the scene. And no classroom is complete without pencils, particularly the yellow and black striped HB ones. Fun challenge for you. Can you spot the real pencil on my desk while I'm crafting? This is where the Spellbinder's Write On stencil comes in. It's a layered stencil, and on my test run I used the layers in order. And honestly, lining everything up felt like trying to herd my students during the last lesson on a Friday. So, for the real thing, I went out of order. Rebel behaviour, I know, and it works so much better. The results is a full panel full of classic school pencils, and I absolutely love it. Let me know, are you a follow the instructions crafter or an I'll just see what happens crafter? I trimmed down the pencil panel and attached one piece on each side of the folding panel. And honestly, this is the moment where the whole card pulls together. I stamped and fussy cut a sentiment that reads, "Let today be the start of something new." There's also a positive reminder written on the whiteboard because every classroom, even one run by mice, deserves encouragement. I checked the mechanism one last time and it works. Yay! That's an A+ from me. Here's the final card, a scene of classroom chaos, paper aeroplanes flying, stationery everywhere, my students clearly pushing boundaries, but the teacher wouldn't have it any other way. Because honestly, a little bit of chaos usually means creativity is happening. This card was inspired by episode 282 of Craft Roulette, where the parameters were a card for a teacher, classroom colours, country mice rather than town mice, and a framed whiteboard. I'll pop in a slide explaining what Craft Roulette is all about, because if you haven't watched it before, you might just get homework. That's all for now. Please remember to get clicky for Vicky. Leave me a comment, especially if you spotted the pencil, and tell me what part of this card made you smile the most. Keep crafting. Ta-ta for now.